Before we get into our weekend predictions, Brett, how does the how does early 2024 look to you in terms of the horror movie slate? Is there anything you're excited about? Obviously, we focus on theatrical, but in
Yeah.
general, how is the health of horror opening this year? Is there anything you're super excited about?
Well, we just did a wrap up of 2023. You can hear our thoughts on that on the New Flesh podcast. We were pretty much like we enjoyed Saw X. We were very excited
Mhm.
about that. But like, and we did while we did enjoy Saw X and we did enjoy Scream 6, we weren't like over the moon at the end of the year with the offerings. And we're just like, yeah, none of these really stuck in our craws. Everything that did was like an indie. So I'm looking forward to the next year and I'm looking at what we got. And yeah, there's not a lot going on at the beginning of the year. There's that Lisa Frankenstein movie, which is like
That's what caught me. Yeah.
yep.
Does that feel, I mean, that would be a new flesh worthy cover, right? I mean, you
Yes.
guys could do
It's
that.
I
Yeah.
would say it's horror adjacent, more of a comedy, but it definitely is a horror movie playing with horror tropes. There's
Mhm.
that Jeff Wadlow directed, the guy who works with Lucy Hale only. He does like
Mm.
Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island.
It's a
Um,
good spot to be in.
Yeah, the Wadlow. He's got a movie called Imaginary about imaginary friends that is going to be like another cheapy Blumhouse that doesn't look very good. There's a
Yep.
Omen prequel that the trailer just dropped today that's been long on a shelf. There's the first part of a 3-part The Strangers trilogy directed by Rennie Harlan. That's
That's a that's
that's
such a
interesting.
fascinating one.
So weird. Like we talked about on the New Flesh as if it were a ghost, like it didn't exist, and then it apparently is shot and does exist and is 3 different movies. It's very confusing, but there are apparently 3 movies and they're all made by Rennie Harlan. They star with a girl from Riverdale, Madeline Petch. Is she the new Charles Melton? Is she going to get a Best Supporting nom? We'll have to see.
Who knows?
Yeah. Could she beat
Uh,
Robert Downey Jr.? Who knows?
There's a Quiet Place prequel, I think, that's like
Mhm.
outside the universe. That's directed by the guy who did Pig, which is like vaguely interesting to me.
Oh, wow.
There's
So that one's not from the imagination of John Krasinski, though.
no, it is not.
Right.
They expressly said no. There's an M. Night movie starring Josh Hartnett that we don't know much
Right.
about. There's the
Right.
American remake of a great Danish film called Speak No Evil. There's a new Alien movie that I'm very excited about. There's a
Could
new
we just back up
Beetlejuice.
for a
Yeah.
second there? So they're doing an American Speak No Evil.
Yes.
I've seen this. Clayton, did you end up ever seeing Speak No Evil on Shudder?
Yes, I
Okay.
watched
So
it
fucked up.
on your recommendation.
Yes. Yes.
Hell
It
yeah.
was great.
It's great. I mean, I would guess. I mean, Brett, do you think that's going to fall in line with the American remakes of Martyrs?
Oh, I hope not.
Inside.
I mean,
Like those.
Let me
probably
in.
like low rent and nowhere near as good. Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah.
hope not. But I'm hopeful only because James McAvoy's in it. I like him.
Oh, okay. So this is immediately a bigger deal than
Yeah, I
those
think
seem to have been.
I want to say Mackenzie Davis is in it too, but it's not written in this thing I'm
Oh,
looking at.
Okay.
love
I think
Mackenzie
she's in it.
Davis.
Yeah, I think it sounds good on paper. It just don't you feel like they're gonna pull punches? Like they
Oh,
can't go as hard as that movie did. Or like
no,
if
it's
they
gonna be a
do,
Martyrs. It's gonna be a
yeah.
Martyrs remake
If they
situation.
do
Yeah.
go as hard, I'll be happy, and if they don't, I'll probably be upset. But it's
Yeah.
cool. It's if they go hard and it is a hit, I think it's so cool that a movie that fucked up could break through. But like it hasn't yet, so I'm not sure if it can.
If teenagers next year make an American remake of Speak No Evil into a hit,
I
it is
mean,
just another sign that horror cannot be stopped.
I mean, if Talk to Me could make what did it make 50 or something?
Yeah.
Like Speak No
Yeah.
Evil can do that, and if not more, because I feel like it's gonna have a bigger marketing situation.
Mhm.
If they market that thing right, man, and like the word of mouth on it will be like just like I think like Talk to Me was. People walked out going like that movie was so fucked up, mostly because of like a couple parts of it, that are
Yep.
just really fucked up. So Speak No Evil, I'm hopeful for. Alien, there's a new Alien directed by Fede Alvarez, I believe. I'm interested in that, but it's very like the first Disney era Alien thing, so we'll have to see what that's like. Apparently, it's very much a standalone horror movie, though. That's how they're describing it. So that's exciting. Allegedly, Smile 2 is coming out at the end of the year, which we haven't heard anything about. I don't even know if that's shot yet. Beetlejuice 2 is shot and in the can and done and exists, and I think that's crazy. And yeah,
Jenny Ortega. So I mean, I obviously Beetlejuice 2 sounds like it would be a terrible idea, but she's such a big star that I think that is
oh,
going to be a hit.
it is a hit.
Mhm.
Whether or not the movie's like terrible, I'm not sure yet. But I do. It is. You know,
And
it
it's
seems like
Burton is back,
it is
right?
Burton's back. But I
Yeah.
mean, when's the last time Burton made a movie that was good?
But don't all of us go into every one of these thinking this will
Yes.
be the one? And probably
Yes.
now more than in 15 years, we're all going to go into Beetlejuice 2 thinking this is the one.
Is the
I already
last-
think it's going to be great.
Is Sweeney Todd the last good one? That's like fucking 15 years ago, 17 years ago, or something. Oh my god.
Yeah, but this will be the
Oh
one.
my
No, I
God.
mean Jenny Ortega.
This is the one. You're right.
She's keeping herself special. She got herself out of that whole Scream debacle, and
Yeah.
I think
ugh.
that's gonna. And it's opening in September,
Yeah.
so
And I feel
that's a
like
weird release date. That'll probably move September 6th. I don't know.
yeah,
That
it
seems
seems
odd, but
weird.
yeah.
Michael Keaton returning as Beetlejuice, I feel like people would be like, yeah, but he was Batman in the Flash and nobody cared. But like, yeah, that was like that has all the superhero like
Yeah.
Mhm.
baggage attached to it. People fucking love Beetlejuice and they haven't seen
Yes.
Beetlejuice since 1988. This movie is going to be perhaps $1 billion grosser. Like it's
I mean-
going to be very big, I think.
Is this Top Gun Maverick? Is Beetlejuice 2 Top Gun Maverick? You know, the character that we
it's-
haven't seen in the 80s, the
Yeah.
original star is back. And I think with something like Beetlejuice, the makeup is such a huge help. The fact that even though the actor is aged, you got him in so much makeup and shit that who's gonna know? You
Yeah.
know, so I don't think the aging actually
Oh
matters.
yeah,
with
it
a
won't
character
matter
like
at
this.
all. I
Yeah,
just
he'll
think
look the same.
if the movie's genuinely good, it will be a huge, huge hit.
Yes.
And if it isn't, it might still be. I mean, Alice in Wonderland is $1 billion movie. And that movie
Yeah.
is fucking awful.
Yeah.
But you got to think there's a lot of money on the table for this one just by like they're cutting a trailer that has Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder's in it, Catherine O'Hara's back, Jenna Ortega's in it, who's
Yeah.
definitely a box office draw now, and Monica Bellucci and Willem Dafoe are the two ads. Like terrific.
That's great.
I mean, I think the aesthetic of Beetlejuice in general is back
Mhm.
and very hot right now. You've
Hot
got
topic.
you've got a
Yes.
huge star
Yep.
in Jenny Ortega. All the things you said, I do think that this is going to be huge. Now, I do have a question, and you may have mentioned it, and I maybe just glossed over it. Is Salem's Lot coming out?
No, dude, it's not a gloss over. It got pulled from the release schedule and is allegedly going straight to HBO Max, or not HBO, straight to Max. But
Whoa, so
yeah,
it's not going
the
into
opposite.
the Batgirl vault.
No, it is. You know what? We don't know yet for sure, but the last article about the situation said that it is the plan now is for it to basically be a streaming movie, which sucks because we already have a TV movie of that. And this was supposed to be the real movie, and now it feels low rent and like it's not.
What is your take on why? I mean, have you heard of anyone who's seen a screening of this? Because people have seen this movie, right?
It
It almost came out.
It's test screened for sure. I haven't spoken to anyone who's seen it, but I've seen enough bad King adaptations to know that if they're treating it that way, it's probably just not very good. Like
Wow.
Pet Sematary was bad. I didn't like The Boogeyman. There's probably other even more recent examples. The Black Phone, which was his son. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful, but who knows?
Now, is Stephen King sort of back on the wane when it comes to IP? I mean, obviously he had, there was big hits with It. And I argued this, I think, with Pat, obviously, that I never thought Stephen King's catalog was as strong as everybody made it out to be. And it feels like he's now back on the wane. Now, obviously, the guy's cashing huge checks. There's always going to be some adaptation in the works. He's always churning out new novels, and good for him. But I do think that we're seeing maybe a valley here with Stephen King. And then, again, in another 10 years, you're going to get something that's going to bring him back. But this seems to be the valley right now.
Well, we've got another Mike Flanagan thing coming. He's directing The Life of Chuck, which is a recent short story that is like not really traditional horror for King. It's from the what is it? If It Bleeds collection, I think.
Okay.
So that I'm intrigued by. There's I think they're doing The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Lynn Ramsey was supposed to do that. If all these things that were supposed to happen, there could be a resurgence, but like I feel like these things get announced and fall apart more than anything. Like we're supposed to have a fairy tale movie directed by Paul Greengrass. I don't know where that is. There's a movie based on Elevation that's supposed to be coming out. There's a Christine remake from Brian Fuller allegedly. Like there's all these things coming out. Oh, Billy Summers is another big one that is another recent book that's getting adapted. So they're definitely, you know, still trying to mine it. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely like two kinds to me. Where like there's the ones that are like feel prestige-y, and then there's the ones that feel like low rent. And there's been a lot more of the low rent ones.
And something like, I mean, there's still something like Christine. That's a movie that if they make it the right way, that could be a huge hit because it's such a gimmick and, you know, Megan factor, let the car talk, something like that.
Well, Christine will be a Tesla.
Yes, and everything that implies, and people will be into that. So a couple other things I'm just seeing. You had mentioned Untitled Smile. There's also an Untitled Monkey Paw. Is that a possible Jordan Peele movie?
Yeah,
and once you start looking past the first 6 months, anything could be pulled off the table.
That did get pulled off the table. They just pulled both. There were two Monkey Paws, one directed by Peele and one produced by him. And they both got pulled just for like, I think he said strike reasons. Like there's just delayed. But Peele is in the press saying he was on Conan the other day and did the podcast, which is when I say he was on Conan now, I mean the podcast.
Right.
He basically said that I lost my train of thought again. What was I talking about?
You were talking. He was on the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, which is of course what Conan does now. He does a podcast, but
and Peele said that Peele said he has a new project that he's like finishing up, and that if I make it the way I want to, it will be the best movie I've made yet, or something like that.
All right,
so
good for him.
That makes me excited. He said like the strike he wasn't writing or whatever. I don't know, but he has something now. I think is what the gist was.
Before we do our top fives, just want to throw out one more title that's set to come out in March, and the trailer for it is out. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I mean, these Ghostbusters movies are kind of horror. And
this one especially looks to be, I feel like.
I mean, they're definitely not comedy anymore. So I think they're more horror than the original series was by default of just not putting jokes in them.
Ironically, it's very funny, the reverence with which they treat the material.
Has there ever been a more horrific image in a Ghostbusters movie, or maybe any movie in 2021, the one that came out, than the Harold Ramis ghost of Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Nope, that was the peak. It was bad.
Yeah, that was Seek No Evil level terrifying. Seeing that.
Yeah, they should remake that.
Now, guys, when you say that these movies are horror, is that just short for horrible? Because these movies are horrible. This movie looks horrible, and I
don't like them. Yeah, I don't really. I didn't like the last one at all.
I guess I'm just shocked at the gimmick here, because I think what you have to do is bring it back to New York, full stop. And then all of a sudden you're doing this like day after tomorrow situation. It just feels like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, that was the question I had with the last one. But hey, you can't argue with the box office.
It did well. It definitely did well. It is interesting that the Ghostbusters new movie is, don't you want to see them be very cold? But maybe that is what people want to see out of the Ghostbusters. Is they haven't been cold enough.
It's funny that we say that it made money, because it's so. If you look at it next to the 2016, they made the exact same amounts, and they had like completely different reactions. In terms of cultural capital and like how people thought they did. I feel like the conception is that one bombed and the other didn't, and it's just not true.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about the film Answer the Call.
Answer the Call.
Yeah, Ghostbusters : Answer the Call. Yeah.
I think it was stripped of the word Ghostbusters in the title retroactively, and it was a live die repeat situation where it was
Mhm.
Well, if Jason
retitled
Reitman
Answer the
had his
Call.
way, he would do that.
Yes. So yeah, horror. I mean, and here's the thing with horror movies: there's going to be like 5 movies that we have no idea are coming out that are going to be talk to me level out of nowhere, make $50 million hits.
Yeah.
Like that will happen next year.
Yeah, I hope so.